One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Woo, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness. So sorry. I apologize for being 10 minutes late. Got so much craziness going on, and I got something from Trump that I was able to pull down and start the show with, so I apologize. I know your time is as valuable as mine, and I hate having people wait around, but thank you for waiting. So, anything happened today? Maybe? Yeah, something happened today. So, unfortunately, if you're not here with me for the evening shows, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do some news here, and then we're going to jump over to Rumble. Now, I'm going to try not to make this a 3-hour broadcast like most of the nighttime broadcasts are, because I want to get to the stuff I can't talk about on YouTube tonight. And there's a couple things that happened today. I can allude to them here on YouTube, and then we're going to jump over to Rumble. We're going to dig in deep. Before we jump into Rumble, I'm going to give you notice. I'm going to say, hey, listen, here's the URL to go to. I want you to basically go to this URL, and we're probably going to do that in about 60 minutes. Let me show that to you right now in case some of you want to begin getting ready to jump over. 1 second here. Let me pull it up. Here's the URL that you can use to get ready, so you can be ready. So when I jump, there's about a 90-second delay, and then I jump over. So be prepared for that. I'll announce it. It won't happen suddenly. We won't lose you. In any event, the Democrats are going crazy. I'm going to talk a little bit about it so I don't get the censors crazy here. But then we go over to Rumble. I've got some amazing video to show you. Amazing video to show you. But to start the night off, what I want to do is show you something that President Trump did today. He signed some executive orders at about 4:30 or so. And like most of the time, they released the executive orders, the video of it, afterwards. So we're going to show that first, and then we'll get into the show.
Thank you very much. We have some executive orders that we're going to be signing right now that are very important. They're really redos from some horrible mistakes made by Biden and his group. and we're changing them back so that we can lead a normal life, a good life, and they're actually very important. And from the standpoint of lifestyle, they're very important. So I'd ask Will to maybe explain them, and we'll ask some of our congressmen and senators to say a few words, please.
Yes, Mr. President. As you said, we have 4 bills for your attention today. These are bills that have been passed by Congress. In the closing days of the Biden administration, they pushed through a large number of rules and regulations that really hurt ordinary Americans, including in their own homes. So the first of these is HJR 20. This is a bill that repeals Biden-era regulations relating to consumer water heaters, consumer gas-fired water heaters.
Who was in charge of this one?
This is Gary and myself, sir. Gary Palmer sponsored it, but this bill specifically saves a factory in my district. 300 Georgians will continue to have their jobs as soon as you sign that.
Mr. President, this rule was issued on Christmas Eve, thinking that we wouldn't be keeping up with what the Biden administration was doing, that we moved quickly to get
And this was on gas heaters.
Banning natural gas.
Isn't that ridiculous? And how were you supposed to get your heat then? Through electric? Through electric, yeah. Was that basically electric heat, which isn't as good? Crazy. You guys hold that up. Brian, hold that up. You guys were great.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No sense, just no sense. But in addition to that, you have a lot of workers that lose their job, right?
Yes, sir. 300 workers
Crazy.
saved because of you.
Good, thank you. It's an honor. There's the Golden Dome, by the way, if you're interested. There's the Golden Dome. It'll save all your lives someday, maybe. Okay, good. Thanks, Brian. You hold it up.
Next, Mr. President, we have House Joint Resolution 24. This is the same basic idea, but this relates to walk-in coolers and freezers and other refrigeration devices. Again, last-minute Biden-era regulation that hits ordinary Americans hard.
And what do they do?
They put
increase the energy
efficiency
efficiency requirements for walk-ins, coolers, and freezers, and therefore putting an undue burden on businesses across the country. Everything from restaurants to pharmacies, hospitals were all
To a point where it didn't
impacted.
work. In other words, they made the restrictions so strong that it didn't work.
And it was going to cost them so much money to actually meet the energy efficiency standards, which didn't really save much money. So this is going to actually help our small businesses across the country, Mr. President. Many manufacturers would have had to close stop lines, shut down entire lines of businesses. And I just want to say, rescinding these, this was done days before you took office. They pushed through these regulations. They didn't think about the cost to businesses. They didn't put American interests first. They didn't put American businesses first. I am so grateful we finally have a president who's not only walking back these insane, burdensome regulations that are ultimately going to cost.
Sorry for the interruption, but Rumble is working. I've got Rumble on my phone. It is working, so I'm not sure why people say it's not working, but it most assuredly is working. I know they were attacked earlier today. They had a DDoS attack, denial of service, and they were under attack for a couple hours, but they have it fixed, and it is working. In fact, I'm just looking at myself holding up the phone. So it is indeed working.
Americans and American businesses, but that you are thinking about the next generation. And as we're leading into Mother's Day, some of us are trying to parent and serve this country at the same time. Thank you for welcoming my son, who is 15, with his mother serving, watching what we're doing for him and generations to come. You are making this country stronger for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck, right? Take care of your mom. Okay, have that. You want to hold that up there? So
Thank you.
That's a big one, isn't it, huh? Common sense. It's all about common sense, right? Okay, Will, go ahead.
Next, sir, this is House Joint Resolution 42. Again, this is a rescission of a Biden-era regulation, in this case relating to energy conservation standards for household appliances and certain consumer products.
That's a good one. I know who's over there. I know who did this. Explain that, please.
Sure. Look, this is helping fight inflation because the cost of the burden on appliance manufacturers is going to drive up the cost of them producing household products, which means that when you go buy a washer, dryer, any appliance, it was going to drive up the cost for consumers. It reduces consumer choice. But in the bottom line, we've been trying to fight inflation. This fights inflation. This takes the cost out of producing these products that Americans need every day. And when you add all this up, it's one regulation here, one regulation there. They always say it's de minimis, but when you add it all up, it costs a lot to American consumers, and this is fighting back.
And it's not as good.
And it's not as good.
Not nearly as good, not nearly as efficient, and more costly. Other than that, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you very much. Great. Fantastic. Okay.
And lastly, sir, we have House Joint Resolution 75. Again, this is a rescission of a Biden-era regulation, in this case relating to energy standards for commercial refrigerators, freezers, and refrigerator freezers.
Do you have the sink one in here? The sinks and shower heads?
We have an executive order on that coming for you later, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
coming when?
Later this afternoon.
Okay, good. You going to be around later this afternoon? Good. Sinks and shower heads, where you buy a home and you have a new shower head and you don't get any water. The water doesn't come out of the sink. The water comes out of nowhere. What a shame. What a ridiculous waste. Okay, let me do this. Come here. Who's responsible for this?
This is mine, Mr. President.
Oh, good man
yes,
here.
Sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want to discuss that?
Yes, sir. This was a government regulation that we have now repealed. Thank you very much, Mr. President. That now saves the American taxpayer. I was getting ready to say the Texas taxpayer, them too, but the American taxpayer, because who would have ultimately paid the price on a government mandate and a government regulation? The people of America. So you just saved the American taxpayer money. So thank you very much.
That's fantastic. Thank you. It's a great job. Okay, any questions?
Mr. President, Airlines said today that the 10% baseline tariff on all countries is here to stay, even after the deals are done. Does that mean that countries offering zero tariffs won't get reciprocity?
You are going to always have a baseline. I mean, there could be an exception at some point. We'll see. Somebody does something exceptional for us. That's always possible. But basically, you have a baseline of a minimum of 10%. And some of them will be much higher, 40%, 50%, 60%, as they've been doing to us over the years. We had a wonderful deal yesterday. We have 4 or 5 other deals coming immediately. We have many deals coming down the line, and ultimately we're just signing the rest of them in. But we always have a baseline of 10%.
And then specifically on the possibility of an increase in taxes on wealthier Americans, what do you say to conservative Republicans who argue that this is an increase on small business owners?
Well, what we're doing is we're actually, if we ever did that, it would only be, and from what I hear, people would love to do it, rich people. I would love to do it, frankly, but what we'll do is that, they'll go around saying, oh, this is so terrible. What you do it is you're giving up something up top in order to make people in the middle income and the lower income brackets save more. So it's really a redistribution. And I'm willing to do it if they want. I would love to be able to give people in a lower bracket a big break by giving up some of what I have. But I'll tell you, a lot of people say don't do it because of the fact that you have the Bush statement about read my lips. But he lost because of Ross Perot. He didn't lose because of that statement.
And then on the salt.
But I don't think they're going to be doing it. But I actually think it's good politics to do it where richer people give up. And it's a very small, it's like a point. But they give it up to benefit people on a lower income.
And then on the SALT tax credits, Mr. President, there are some Republicans who say, why is it that these 45 other states should be paying taxes to alleviate the tax burden of New York?
It's only because those states are behind, very badly behind, and those people were affected very badly. And the sad part is oftentimes they were affected badly because you had bad management in those states, like in California with Newsom and, people. So you had some bad management. But that's being worked on now, and they may do a piece one way or the other. It's a very complex issue, but I think it's being worked out. I think it's going to be worked. It has not been settled yet, but they'll settle it up pretty quickly.
Are you
Mr. President, can we have
what parameters have you given Scott Bessent on negotiating with China this weekend?
We have to make a great deal for America.
Are you going to be disappointed if he comes back without a deal?
No, not at all. Because we already made a great deal. We're not doing business with China right now.
Given your relationship with
we lost $1 trillion last year with China, $1 trillion. So if you're not going to do business with them, you're not going to lose $1 trillion. But we lost. I want China to do great. You know, I'm very friendly with President Xi. I have great respect for him and for China. But we can't continue to allow them to do what they did. When I was president, they paid hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes. And then Biden screwed it all up. What he did to this country between the border and between all of the other problems, the wars, everything, what he did to this country should never be forgotten. But one of the things he did is the trade was so bad and so imbalanced. So I think we're going to come back with a fair deal for both China and us.
Have you given Bessent a number of how low you're willing to go?
Yeah, I am.
Are you willing to share that number?
But I put out a number today, 80%, so we'll see how that all works out.
Mr. President, the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv is warning right now about possible Russian significant attack on Kyiv. What's your message for Putin?
I have a message for both parties. Get this war ended. We're losing 5,000 soldiers a week, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers, and other people also, by the way. And I say, get this stupid war finished. That's my message for both of them. Thank you very much. We'll see you later.
President Trump, very short meeting in terms of these executive orders. And I can't tell you how shocked I am. Many of you noticed and were looking at the desk. That was like, yeah, you go. You're seeing it for yourself. He is obviously sending messages. It's not by accident. Now we have it confirmed. We're not going to put the Andrew Jackson statue out. We're going to put another one out. And I couldn't make it out because it's too small on my monitor. So maybe one of you guys can tell me what it was, because I'd love to know what that statue was. My viewer monitor is only about that big, so I couldn't make it out. That's why you see me sometimes leaning in trying to see stuff. Who was that statue? What was the new statue? Because obviously that was a a very interesting thing. Very quickly. I'm looking to see who was. Oh, it was a fight statue. All right, so I looked up Rumble because I know some of you guys were having problems, and this was at 4:47 p.m. They were updating all day, and it says our service is restored and fully functional. But obviously, if some of you guys are having problems, because I'm seeing some comments here, I still can't get onto Rumble. Back down for me too. West Coast is totally down. It's down again. This was 2 hours, so they may still be under attack. I've told you many times, and you've heard it from people, free speech is not free. They don't want us talking. They don't want us doing certain things. So somebody had asked in the comments, what did Andrew Jackson do? Let me go ahead and answer that before we go much further. All right, where is this? Okay, here we go. Let me move it over here so everybody can see it. Enlarge it so people can read it, hopefully. Okay, here we go. All right. Andrew Jackson famously told the Supreme Court to go pound sand. Remember me, if you've been here a while, you remember me talking, and I'm saying that I've said, if the Supreme Court, if some of these district court judges are all pissed off and they say, listen, I say you can't do something, and we're going to make sure you don't do it, well, who are they? And I wasn't being facetious, I was telling the truth. Who are they going to call? And I hope you've thought that to yourself and said, yeah, who are they going to call? Because if you call the U.S. Marshals, that means you're calling Pam Bondi's office. You can't call the military, that they answer to Pete Hegseth. You can't call FBI, they answer to Kash Patel. There is nobody to call. So in order to cause someone to be picked up or put or enforced, you can't do anything. And so famously, years ago, Andrew Jackson was famously defied the Supreme Court ruling in Worcester versus Georgia, where the court upheld the Cherokee Nation's right to their land in Georgia. And this is a quote that was attributed to Andrew Jackson, where he responded to the ruling with the phrase, "John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it." This is a widely known, albeit possibly apocryphal, statement attributed to Jackson, signifying his disregard for the court's authority. The situation led to the Trail of Tears, where the Cherokees were forcibly removed from their land, a stark example of Jackson's refusal to uphold the Supreme Court's decision. It's been done a number of times. It's basically the nuclear option. You're going to tell the world, sorry, but we're going to have to do this if we're going to fix this country. Somebody else did it. Oh yeah, Abraham Lincoln. So it's not like it's never been done. It has been done. It is absolutely nuclear, and there's no turning back from it at that point, but it has been done and it's been used. President Trump, at this point, he hasn't stated the words, but you can kind of see he's actually doing an Andrew Jackson type thing. And there's no one who can stop him. Now, couple that with what we heard Stephen Miller say today. I don't know if some of you guys went and watched the movie The Siege that we were talking about earlier, but it's no accident. Because this man doesn't make accidents like that. I'm sure Stephen Miller, hey boss, can I say this? Yeah, tell him. And he mentioned we may suspend habeas corpus. We're under consideration. And it was like a 5-alarm fire throughout the media. They completely lost it. I saw people on YouTube making videos who weren't even in the political realm screaming about what might happen. I started getting texts from friends of mine who were law enforcement officers, just like Maximus here. It was an interesting text I got. Here, let me see. I definitely wouldn't read his name, but okay. Listen to this. Maybe it's me, but in that picture with Andrew Jackson, it sure looks like there's a picture of a man's face in the phone. I can't say for sure, but I'm better. Most law enforcement agencies have a plan should habeas corpus be suspended. This is just my speculation. Either a national or the states would declare states of emergency. During this time, I would expect a nationwide or local curfew, kind of like what we saw during, COVID or during the hurricanes, which down here they will put in, they will put in a curfew to get people off the street so they're not damaging businesses and do the craziness like they do in LA and some of these cities. You don't even need to be out here. We have suspended it and get off the street. So it's done locally too. And he goes, I don't think it would start that way. But if the left wanted to come out with another, quote, summer of love, then I think that would be the immediate response. He could just declare it and most people would have no clue because we're in uncharted territory. Then he followed up with this. This is a 20-year veteran in law enforcement. Maximus could probably underscore this. It'd be a good weekend to do some spring cleaning with the peacemakers. If you know what I mean, and I think you do. Poo-poos, pew-pews. If what may happen, and I've been talking about it for quite some time, I think we are on the verge. We are on the precipice. We're right there. Things could break loose in a hurry. And if those things break loose in a hurry, you're not going to want to be caught with your pants down. Given what happened today, that tells me it's beginning to accelerate. And if you guys don't know what happened today, we're going to show you after the jump, because there's some crazy things that happened at the detention center with ICE, and I've got video to show you. But suffice it to say, what I can say in this portion is it's so bad, we had congressmen and congresswomen battling it out, hand-to-hand combat with ICE officers. And the mayor of Newark, New Jersey got carted off and thrown in a stockade somewhere. And they're not even saying where he is. So, just so you know, that's a huge escalation. This isn't going down to El Salvador and looking for the Maryland man. Oh no, this is actually putting hands on officers. You and I would be in jail, and we'd be there for the weekend at least, and who knows what our bail would be because we put hands on an officer. If you haven't seen it, you're gonna go, uh-oh. And now it's starting to, you can feel it starting to bubble up. These people are pissed. Absolutely pissed. Many of us wondered, how could these people be getting behind these nuts? How could you be flying down to El Salvador and demanding a foreign country give you what you want? And now we've gone even to the next 5 levels up. You're actually out there putting hands, throwing hands against police officers because you don't want these people detained. What in the hell is happening? This is bad. This is bad. Britta says they're trying to start a race war. Oh, I don't even know how they're going to start a race war because the people they were fighting were agents, and some of them were indeed black and Hispanic. And then if you start to, start a riot in the street, which ones do you think are going to get burned up and stuff? Same group of people as always. It's going to start someplace in the hood, which isn't going to go well. I'm telling you right now, this isn't going to go the way they think it could go. Because the people in the hood, most of the black people, they ain't down with this. They don't care. The newcomers ain't their fight. It's not like some George Floyd thing where somebody got shot. Oh no, what? You want me to go burn stuff down because of the newcomers? I don't think so. You want me to go to jail for these people who ain't even my brethren? My brothers, my sister? What? No, this is going to be different. This is when, if there is any activation, we're going to see these gangs and see what they do. This is going to be a different kind of summer of love altogether. Yeah, smart people are prepared. Be prepared. I don't know what's going to happen, but if I get that kind of thing from a law enforcement officer and he says this would be a good weekend to clean up the peacemakers, oh, okay. I'm going to do it. Let's see here. The ones that put hands on the ICE officers they were arrested, but it doesn't matter because we've seen our feckless Republicans. Mike Johnson, you should be in Washington tonight talking about suspending these people and kicking them out of Congress. This shouldn't be waiting after a 4-day weekend. You should be there right now going, did you actually put your hands on police officers? Did you actually grab and try to hit law enforcement officers? Sorry, you're getting booted out of it. No censuring. I don't want to see censures. I don't want to see certificates and here. No. Get them the hell out of Congress. If you don't act this weekend, Mike Johnson, you are going to cause an eruption because they're going to feel bulletproof. They're going to feel like they can do anything. They're calling you out, Mike Johnson. They're calling you out. And they're saying, you can't do anything to me. If I decide I want to beat up on a police officer, wait a minute. I need to go check some notes, but I'm pretty sure people got put in the bottom of a dungeon for beating up cops, supposedly, on January 6th, right? Don't you go to jail for insurrection-y type activity? I'm pretty sure we saw people get arrested, and then, we've even had interviews with some people who got tossed into jail and didn't even have a trial for months at a time. Now we're at a crux where we're going to see what kind of people we have in our government that are fighting for us. Because I'm telling you, and I don't have to tell you, every one of you know at this point, if you put hands on an ICE officer, a police officer, your family ain't seeing you for a while, and you know it. Congressman Dean, I agree about Mike Johnson need to step up against these nuts, but he won't do anything. They need a 2/3 majority to expel members of Congress. Not going to happen without Dem votes. But that's where we're leading to then. Yes, you are completely correct, but that's where the problem is. This is where I think the spark of the Civil War begins. I thought it began a while ago. Now I'm pretty confident we have one. Because as you're saying, 2/3 majority, you're going to need 2/3 to say, hey, you shouldn't be putting your hands on police officers. And no, we're not going to vote to throw them out. Then what are you doing? You're condoning it. You're telling everybody oh, wait a minute. I don't have to say you're telling everybody we're more privileged. She said that today. She actually said that she's more privileged. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. The Congresswoman was pounding on the ICE officer on his back with both her fists. So before we get further into what happened there, let me cover a couple other things for you. And President Trump, after he did that press conference, or rather executive order signing, he recorded another video and said this.
Today I signed an executive order to launch the first ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens. We are making it as easy as possible for illegal aliens to leave America. Any illegal alien can simply show up at an airport and receive a free flight out of our country. We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home. That's CBP Home, where illegals can book a free flight to any foreign country. As long as it's not here, you can go anywhere you want. We're also adding a very important exit bonus for illegals to further incentivize their self-deportation. This deportation bonus will save American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. What Biden did to this country can never be explained, will never, ever be accepted. Eventually, when the illegals are gone, it will save us trillions of dollars. However, if illegal aliens choose to remain in America, they're remaining illegally and they will face severe consequences. Illegal aliens who stay in America face punishments including significant jail time, enormous financial penalties, confiscation of all property, garnishment of all wages, imprisonment and incarceration, and sudden deportation in a place and manner solely of our discretion. So to all illegal aliens, book your free flight right now. We want you out of America, but if you're really good, we're going to try and help you get back in. Thank you.
So I can't say the words here, but the President of the United States openly repeated the words. And you know which words I'm talking about. One of them sounds like a bald eagle, and the other one sounds like a movie from a few years ago with, Space Monster. He said it. He called the newcomers what they are, at least, and that was only 90 seconds, at least 6 times, and just kept saying it. And how I took this video that he just put out was a declaration. He's sitting behind, this isn't a press conference, he's sitting behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and he's telling you, get out now. Get out now. Remember, he's flying out of here in a day or so, or early next week, and he's heading over to Saudi Arabia, we're told. Maybe this is the time he gets away so everything can drop. I don't know. But I just found it odd tonight at about 6:15 or so. This thing, I think it was about 6:15. 6:15, this drops. and it's him looking right in the camera, nobody else in the room, right behind the desk, almost like an address to the nation, which essentially it is. He's letting you and I and them know, game time. We're coming for you. Get out now. 90 seconds of pure President Trump looking in a video camera and telling them, get out. If I were a subject to that, if I were somebody that he might come looking for, that would tell me, saddle up. Honey, we got to do something. We got to get out of here because this guy's about to round us up. By itself, it might not make all that much of a fear factor thing. But I want you to know that this guy speaks in communications. You've seen it. And I want you to put together what you've seen today. And you've seen these people go crazy and attack ICE agents and try to bust into a detention center as if they have the ability to do that. And then, or before that, you saw Stephen Miller come out and say, we're considering it. And I almost feel like this was high noon. And something's coming. This is your last warning. I want you to do me a favor. One of you guys, well, I can count along too. I want you to listen to this again and look at his face, the words he's saying, and understand everything you've seen today, or if you haven't seen it, you're gonna see it. And now, before dinner, before he does anything else, he issues this proclamation, looks in the camera, and tells everybody this.
Today I signed an executive order to launch the first ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens. We are making it as easy as possible for illegal aliens to leave America. Any illegal alien can simply show up at an airport and receive a free flight out of our country. We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home. That's CBP Home, where illegals can book a free flight to any foreign country. As long as it's not here, you can go anywhere you want. We're also adding a very important exit bonus for illegals to further incentivize their self-deportation. This deportation bonus will save American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. What Biden did to this country can never be explained, will never, ever be accepted. Eventually, when the illegals are gone, it will save us trillions of dollars. However, if illegal aliens choose to remain in America, they're remaining illegally and they will face severe consequences. Illegal aliens who stay in America face punishments including significant jail time, enormous financial penalties, confiscation of all property, garnishment of all wages, imprisonment and incarceration, and sudden deportation in a place and manner solely of our discretion. So to all illegal aliens, book your free flight right now. We want you out of America, but if you're really good, we're going to try and help you get back in. Thank you.
We want you out of here. Doesn't sound like he's worried about any judge's order about due process or facilitation or any of that stuff. Just imagine right now you're sitting somewhere, you're a district court judge, you're Judge Bo Asperger. You've told him you got to do things this way. And the President of the United States releases a video saying, tickety-tock, it's coming. And the best part of it for you and me is that right now there are Democrats who are like absolutely losing it. Knowing full well, or should know full well at this point, he ain't listening to your judges. The Supreme Court's not stepping in. That 9-0 thing you had, sorry, that didn't matter either. Now it's time to put the hammer down. I'm done playing with you people. Here it comes. Here comes the thunder. You hear it? Okay. Well, we'll see what happens, but to me, that was a very, very stern, no nonsense, get out. Go to, I didn't know this. Go to any airport and just show yourself. Hey, I want to get out of here. I want to go back to Nicaragua. Okay, we'll get you on a plane. Just show up and we'll get you out of here. But you're getting out. And that if you don't get out, did you hear what the penalties were? In addition to jail, we're taking all your stuff. We're going to take all your money. You're done. Which means anybody in law enforcement, you know, when you put out the grand juries and everything else, you already know where their money is and what they're doing. It's literally going to be boom. They're going to try to use Zelle or WhatsApp or something to send money home to Mexico, and open it up and there's no money there. Oh, crap. The man ain't playing. It's here, people. If it's not, what's the worst can happen if you're prepared? You're just prepared. You're prepared for when it does happen. But to me, and what I'm going to show you, it looks like it's happening. All right, let's continue with the video.
If the devil called me and said he wanted to set up a meeting to give me opposition research on my opponent, I'd be on the first trolley to hell to get it. There is a cleansing needed in our FBI and Department of Justice. It needs to be cleansed of individuals who should not just be fired, but who need to be taken out in handcuffs. And you, Mr. Barr, are so deep in the swamp, you can't see beyond your fellow reptiles. And you are not the exceptional leader needed. This is the only man that our enemies feared. Donald Trump is the only man that our enemies feared.
If devils and cleansing and reptiles are your thing, you're going to love the new acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Donald Trump announced yesterday that he is appointing her, that was Fox News host Jeanine Pirro, to lead one of the Justice Department's most important prosecutors' offices. That's after he pulled the nomination of Ed Martin. Pirro is now the 23rd Fox News alum to be chosen for government job.
Why does it matter where she's working? Why does it matter that all these people who were at one point were on Fox are now working for President Trump? Why? Why does it matter? Jealous? I don't know. Tell me, are you jealous? I think Judge Jeanine has a little bit more pedigree than simply being a Fox host. But you try to denigrate everything associated with Trump, says she's just a Fox host. She's got no experience. She doesn't know what she's doing. Really? You realize she had a show called Judge Jeanine.
By the president, for which they have little qualification other than working for or appearing on the president's favorite network as staunch supporters of him. She joins the ranks of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Deputy Director of the FBI Dan Bongino, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and Border Czar Tom Homan, just to name a few. Angela and the Rev are back. Rev, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? I knew Jeanine Pirro when she was the Westchester County District Attorney, and she was always to the right of center, but never this far. But since she's been at Fox, she's gone way over there. I think a more central question, rather than the personalities of any of them, is that are we now a nation that allows people that just have experience on Fox News to run?
Did he not just say, I knew her years ago when she was in Westchester, where she was a prosecutor and a judge? Did he not just say that? Again, just illustrating how stupid the MSNBC audience is, because he just said, oh yeah, I remember like years ago when she was a judge and blah, 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 blah. And then turn around and go, are we now at the point where only experience you need is to be on Fox News? Did you forget what you said 2 sentences beforehand, Rev? Are you getting that, senility is happening? You just said she was a judge.
The Defense Department, Justice Department. So now don't go to law school or don't do military service, get a job at Fox, and you could be in the cabinet of the United States. This is outrageous. And all one has to do is think, if Barack Obama had done this, or even Joe Biden, there would be outrage.
Should we? He thinks we forget. He thinks we don't have the ability to look stuff up. But he implied that Judge Jeanine doesn't even have any experience being anything. She's just a Fox News host. And by the way, is it just me? Or does old Reverend Al start to sound like he's in the Biden roller coaster? He's starting to slur his words just like Joe did. Come on, Al. Maybe it's time where you need to go shuffle off as well, because you couldn't remember the sentence you said beforehand, and then you're just there to spew lies, more lies.
There absolutely has been just crickets from a lot of journalists that ought to be saying this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other place where there have been a lot of crickets is we now have politicized law enforcement, Angelo. And if you look at, take Donald Trump and America out of the story, and you look at any tracker toward autocracy, I mean, the fall of law enforcement is sort of the biggest domino that falls and ends up in the reporting around the world, right? If you're tracking a weak democracy around the world, when law enforcement falls, it's a big red flag. It's international news. It's the kind of stuff that intelligence agencies note the world over. When the pillar of law enforcement has fallen to the autocrat or the political leader, when it has become fully politicized. And so
the only way this network exists is if you're too stupid to remember a couple years ago. That's the only way. Because if people around him in their circle remembered a couple years ago, a president had his doors basically kicked in with armed guys on boats and on land. They went through his wife's underwear drawer, completely humiliated him with trial after trial after trial. And the only way this stuff could come out of their mouths is if they believe you don't remember. And that's why I keep letting you know, these people are evil. And we saw it today. We saw it personified today.
It's not just the lack of qualifications. It is the absence of any semblance of non-political law enforcement in America.
You mean like your network? Everything you guys do is partisan? I've yet to see them give President Trump a compliment for anything. Does he look good today? Does his tie fit? Anything you want to give him credit for? Does he have a beautiful wife? Anything. Nope, it's all negative, all negative, all negative. And that's why I think many people in the middle and some on the left are beginning to lean over and going, I can't take this negativity every single day, 24/7. When I live my life and say, well, it's not that bad. I may know somebody from work who might be getting shipped off, but I'm not worried about getting shipped off. Things are fine. They're getting better. Gas prices are down. Food's down. Why are you still complaining? Because at this point, I think they know what's coming. I think they know for sure. I think people may have tipped them off. They may now realize many of my friends and people are going to get rounded up. See, that would be kind of frightening because, that person too. Yeah. And you've seen President Trump going after MSNBC almost on a monthly basis. Today he went after Stephanie Ruhle, and he said they're lying on television. That's an FCC violation. Forget that Smith-Munt stuff. That can be taken back pretty quick. They're in trouble. They know they're in trouble, and they don't have any way, as many of us have said, you can't stop what is coming. And that terrifies them. Speaking of what's coming,
I've also noticed the news you've made in making criminal referrals regarding people who were leaking information allegedly to the Washington Post from the Defense Department. What can you tell us about those referrals you've made, and do you expect the Justice Department to prosecute?
Yeah, Matt, well, as I said, the politicization of our intelligence community needs to end, to even begin to start to earn the trust of the American people. So the actions that we've taken, unfortunately, there continue to be significant leaks coming out of the intelligence community, not only my organization, but the CIA and others, again, by those who are very directly trying to undermine the agenda and actions of President Trump. Once again, the president who was elected by the American people with an overwhelming mandate. The way that we start to end this is by bringing about transparency and accountability. So in these cases, we conducted our own internal investigation. In 3 cases, we referred them to the Department of Justice. And as you know well, Matt, sometimes or historically, we could refer things to the Department of Justice and they would sit on a desk somewhere or get lost in the paper shuffle, and you end up having to wait and you wonder, well, is anything ever going to happen? Well, I can tell you with the leadership we have there now, not only has there been action taken, but they have been actioned by the FBI that is going through immediately to investigate these cases with the intent of bringing about prosecution. We have 11 other internal investigations ongoing now within ODNI, and we intend to continue to carry them out to completion to hold those who are illegally leaking classified information, trying to undermine the president, politicizing intelligence, hold them accountable, because this has got to end.
Okay, so you heard the president say, saddle up and get out. Now you've heard another member of the cabinet, Tulsi Gabbard, saying we're referring people to DOJ to get them arrested. Now, is it coincidental that these are happening on the same time, on the same day, that drops? Well, if you needed more of an idea that something is in the works, let me just make sure the volume is okay on this. If you thought it was just, nothing really was happening, the stars weren't aligning, then this dropped. When did this drop? Let me just make sure I have my timing here. This dropped at, let's see, 7:30. This just came out a little while ago. Here's another member of President Trump's cabinet letting you know stuff's about to happen.
Just a quick update. 2 weeks ago, we were down on the border when we established the first national defense area. Basically, think about the border. It's similar to a military installation. If you trespass, you will be charged. Well, since then, we've got 2,000 troops patrolling that area. We put over 1,300 signs up in that national defense area, including a second national defense area. So the border space that DOD is allowed to take actions inside is growing and growing. But so are the prosecutions, and that's what I want to remind any illegal thinking about entering our country. Combined charges to illegal aliens entering the national defense areas and damaging any government property, which is basically what happens when you trespass, could get a total of up to 10 years in prison. Just entering the national defense area could lead to charges. You do other things, could be even more. So far, DOJ has already charged more than 100 illegal aliens with these crimes. That number will continue to climb. The number of national defense areas will continue to climb. The barbed wire will climb. The troops will climb, because we're going to get 100% operational control of the border. And when you cross illegally, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law by the Department of Justice. You see, back in the day when the cartels would look across the border, if they saw camouflage, guys with binoculars, they knew that was somewhere they could cross, because the military didn't have the authorities to actually detain temporarily. Now we do. And so if you see guys in camouflage now with binoculars or in striker vehicles with rifles, they have the authority to detain illegals temporarily and assist Border Patrol and hand them over, and now to be charged by the Department of Justice up to 10 years. A reminder that we're taking this seriously, and we're going to get 100% operational control of the border.
So incidentally, we've got members of the cabinet coming out saying we're not playing around anymore. On a Friday evening, no less. You know, Friday evenings are supposed to be slow news. Not much is supposed to be happening. And we're seeing the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense. I'm waiting for the next one to drop. I'm looking for Kash Patel to say something. Or Pam Bondi. Something is about to happen. This cannot be a coincidence. I've never been in the military. I've never been in law enforcement. But when you see this kind of coordinated communication, it doesn't really take a big stretch to go, yeah, ooh, what are they about to do? Because, damn. I mean, I can look and see if Kash Patel's jumped in. Maybe he's also said something. And I can look at Pam Bondi. But if I see something from Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, batten down the hatches. Because, oh boy. Let me see. Nope, don't see anything. Well, no, it was 5 hours ago. And let me see if Pam Bondi said anything. But at this point, there is some sort of operation. If I were to surmise, I am not in law enforcement, but I think you guys are intelligent enough to know something is definitely up. Don't know what it is, don't know what they're going to enforce or what they're going to drop, but it sure looks that way. All right, so let's continue with the video.
And the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is, it's about 750 million barrels of oil in strategic. This isn't for timing markets or, filling it or unfilling. It's for when a very bad day happens. The world literally runs on oil. If you don't have oil, you're screwed in everything you do, economics, defense, anything, healthcare. And so we created a Strategic Petroleum Reserve for that very rainy day. And in 2022, coming into those midterm elections, the Democrats saw inflation was a problem, things weren't going well from them, and they drained nearly half of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to make those midterm elections go well for them. Sadly, it did help them. In the short term, they flooded the market with oil, reduced the price of oil in the short term, but at the cost of U.S. strategic positioning, and they damaged the facilities in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve by draining them so fast. So I have a few challenges. We have to spend over $100 million to repair the damage of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve that wasn't built for that. And by design, it's...
Okay. Biden so screwed this country by draining the oil reserves. And I'm sure many of you knew that. He was trying to influence gas prices right before the election. And he completely depleted the oil reserves. But not only did they deplete the oil reserves, they caused $100 million in damage because the speed of which, it must have been the pumps or something, that they tried to drain it so quickly. So thanks, Joe. You're costing us $100 million just to fix the crap that you did that didn't even help you get elected. Democrats suck.
Much slower to fill it than to drain it.
Now, all of this you've heard, and I want you to hear this, because I've put together a sequence as we're getting ready to do the jump over. I want you to really understand what you're about to hear, because I missed it. We watched this cabinet meeting, all of us together, we broadcast it, and listen to what President Trump here says, I think it was a week ago. Listen closely. I'm just telling you, putting these breadcrumbs together and all the research I did in the last couple hours, and I'm like, it was right before my eyes. It was right there. Listen to this.
This last night in your speech in Macomb, we're facing an unprecedented situation where there's a lot of abuses of nationwide injunctions, sort of seemingly designed to curtail your power, specifically when it comes to deporting these illegal, violent aliens that came in under the previous administration. Have you spoken to your team about ways to mitigate this and continue to deliver for the American people?
Well, there are ways to mitigate.
All right, so not sure if you could hear the reporter. I don't know why the White House has such bad audio. But the reporter said, hey, listen, is there any way you can mitigate or do anything about these illegals and getting past the judges and all this stuff? And listen to what President Trump says right here.
And there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by 3 very highly respected presidents, but we hope we don't have to go that route. But there is one way that has been used very successfully by 3 presidents, all highly respected. And hopefully we don't have to go that way. But there are ways of mitigating that.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the...
All right. So you heard him allude to it right there in the cabinet meeting. So all the people in the cabinet were listening, and he's like, yeah, there's a way. There's a way, and 3 presidents have used it, and he didn't say the words. He just let it sit there, let you stew on it a little bit. That's very interesting, don't you say? Talk about breadcrumbs in communications. And then here, I recut this and I enhanced the sound because I don't want you guys to miss a word of what Stephen Miller says.
Clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch, the courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller.
What do you do when...
Okay. So you heard it earlier. Just wanted to play it again. I enhanced the sound so you could hear. He's talking about doing it. There's been some consideration. Now I want you to hear Steve Bannon and a guy called D.C. Drano. I forget what his real name is. And he's an attorney, and he talks about habeas corpus.
Your own intelligence apparatus around the president is trying to undercut him so he has no standing in the court when he does exactly what you say he has to do, which is suspend habeas corpus and start rolling him out of here, brother.
Well, is that the same deep state that indicted him 4 times? We don't care what they say, okay? We have common sense. We watched our country be invaded for 4 years by 10 to 15 million illegal aliens, many of them men of fighting age, okay? And when I say suspend the writ, not only is this a constitutional power in Article 1, Section 9, but we're not even suspending it for American citizens, okay? There's none of that. These are illegal aliens. They do not have a right to be here. They get deported. If the courts want to stop us, we go around the courts by using constitutional authority to do so. And the president who used this the most is the Democrats' favorite president of all time, FDR, okay? FDR used it, Abraham Lincoln used it, and Ulysses S. Grant used it. And you know what?
All right, so you need to know that if you're out there doing battle with some liberal friends and they go, oh, this is just crazy, how could he possibly do it? Hey, understand Lincoln did it. Andrew Jackson, FDR. This isn't something that Trump is just pulling out of his butt. It is an actual strategy, an actual legal way to go. They're not going to like it. They're going to scream, say only Congress can do that. Nuh-uh. There is now precedent that says that President Trump can actually do this. And like I told you, if you watched the movie today, or if you didn't watch it this afternoon, watch it tonight, go watch The Siege, and you'll see what exactly that is. And, you know, it may be a little bit dramatic in terms of the, well, I don't want to blow the movie for you, but understand what you've seen thus far. President Trump issuing an ultimatum, essentially. Tulsi Gabbard talking about referring other people for prosecution. Pete Hegseth saying, yeah, we're coming for you at the border. 2 + 2 = 4. You can begin to see they're putting it in place, and then you can put the cherry on top. Stephen Miller walks out and says, we're considering it. Well, those of you who have had gun training, there's not a lot of consideration. They tell you, don't pull it unless you're prepared to use it. In other words, don't start nothing, won't be nothing type thing. If you're considering it, that pretty much tells me you're going to use it. Because if you weren't going to use it, there would be no more consideration. Good idea, but I don't want to go that far. Yeah, I know a couple presidents have used it, but I just don't want to take things to that level. If you're considering it, and you said all this stuff tonight, it's likely you're going to pull the trigger. And after what we saw today, which you're going to see in a couple minutes, OMG, it's time. It's absolutely time. Let him finish.
They're all their faces are on our money, okay? They ended up being pretty good looking in historical hindsight, and Trump has the chance to do that. We have to normalize this. You cannot allow 20 million illegal aliens to invade our country and allow them to stay. This is an invasion. That is what an invasion is. Time to start taking drastic action. I understand what President Trump is doing. He's going through the process. He's exposing that Democrat Marxist judges are going to stop him every step of the way. At a certain point, I feel he's going to have no decision but to do this. And you know what? If he stands strong and he does it, he'll win in a landslide in the midterms, because this is what Americans want on both sides of the aisle.
So let me ask you. Let me look in the chat, because this is the kind of chatter that's going on behind the scenes right now. Well, not really behind the scenes. He's online. Steve Bannon has a big audience. But people are like, it's starting to bubble up going, are they really going to do it? They're going to pull the trigger? And then after you start thinking to yourself, oh, this is going to be crazy, then you start thinking, oh, this is going to be awesome. Do it. Do it. So I'd like to know what you guys think with what you've seen thus far. Do you think President Trump, number one, is in his rights to do this? And number two, how are you going to feel if he does do it? With the understanding, and this is always a caveat, if he does it and somehow the Democrats cheat their way into office, they can do it. But I look at it this way. I look at it that Kamala Harris, if she had won, this wouldn't be a consideration. 100 days in, it would already be happening. I have no doubt. I don't have any doubt that I wouldn't be broadcasting. I have no doubt that Jack Posobiec and Steve Bannon and Patrick Bet-David and half of Rumble wouldn't be broadcasting. Dark. Throwing a switch. Cut them off. Be like me not hitting my microphone button. Anybody here? This thing on? Nope. You can't do it. Oh, and by the way, because we really don't want you to do it, there's going to be people showing up at your house making sure you don't do it, because you're an enemy of the state at this point. Remember the whole Ministry of Misinformation? What do you think they were getting ready to do? So I rationalize it as this. Our opposition would no doubt use this against us. It would have been already done. Unfortunately, they would have been doing it on Americans, protecting those people. How do I know that? We see it. We see it happening right now. They're bending over backwards and doing everything they possibly can for the newcomers. Rolling up the red carpet, giving them free hotel rooms, ABT cards, ATMs, free internet, everything. Did you get it? No, you paid for it. So I'm fairly confident had she gotten office, she indeed would be doing what they're terrified of right now, but they would have been doing it to us. We saw it. He saw us kick us all off Twitter when it was Twitter. I don't know how Elon pulled off that deal. That was the art of the deal. He bought Twitter and liberated so many people. So I just want to know what you... Yeah, somebody's like that. The UK is already talking about it. Rumble is still looping. Let me check here. It might be the node that you're on. Let me just check, because I'm getting ready to jump and I don't. There's nothing I can do about it. People are saying Rumble's not working for them. Let me see if it's working for me. This is on mobile. SV, is it working for you at this point? Yeah, it's working for me. So I don't know if the node or whatever the oops, excuse me. Yeah, it's working. Yep, there's the Stephen Miller portion right there. So it's working for me, and people are chatting. So I'm not really sure. For some people, it's not working. In fact, there's like 5,000 people watching right now. So, in any event, Tats Dragon says, totally agree. Do whatever it takes. These people are lost in serving Satan. I'm trying to see if there's people that say no. Because do it, Trump. They pushed us. Not the right Siege movie. I'm sorry. Let's see here. ABC, NBC, CBS, all misinformation networks. President Trump needs to pull their FCC licenses. Yeah. Not here. Works in Canada. I am both on Rumble and you. I guess it just depends on where you are at this point. They are bringing up the suspension to make the Supreme Court do the right thing. TikTok. TikTok. That's all I can say. All right, let me just keep looking here. Just here. Barry just switched over to Rumble on my TV. You're on there right now, brother. Still have YouTube. Hey, how you doing on Rumble? Hi, people on Rumble. All right, so it's got to be from wherever you are because a lot of people are seeing it over there. So I'm going to be jumping over in a second. Let's see here. Yeah, Rumble is in its infancy, so they've been attacked today, so I'm not really sure. Hope you can get on. What's the website to Rumble? Lanya says, what's the website to Rumble? Rumble.com. Or if you want to go to do the jump directly to my page, you would go here. You would go to fanfareshop.org/Rumble May 9, and it should take you to the video. Rumble in Houston is working. All right, sorry people if it's not, but it is what it is right now. Let's see here. I just want to do this. So anyway, that's what I think. I think it's coming. I think that President Trump is going to make sure that these people can't stay. He's not letting the judges dictate to him, and all the breadcrumbs have been laid out completely. Pretty obvious to me. And the only question there is, are people behind it? Are you going to support him if he goes nuclear? Because the media is going to go crazy. The media is going to call us nuts, that we're, anti-constitutional, blah, 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 blah. And their only hope is to change enough of your opinions to where Trump feels, like maybe I shouldn't do this. The people aren't behind me. So I think what you need to be telling people on X, this is what I voted for. Do it. Do it. Pull the trigger. Let's go. Round them up. Do what you need to do. So, in any event, let me talk to you about Patriot Addict real quick. So, first, before I start, I know I've gotten emails from people who said that the pop-up windows sometimes can drive people crazy because that's just their upselling and everything. But how can I say this? You have to navigate through the site, and I will ask them to see if they'll stop with some of the pop-up windows and everything that they're doing. But you're not going to get ripped off. If you feel like you've been ripped off, go ahead and email me at showmail at fanfareshop.org, and Ashley and I will get a hold of them. We will need your name, your email, how much you were charged, and there's no way I'm going to let you guys be, taken advantage of, and I don't believe they are. So there's some miscommunication, but in any event, for those of you who want to, and I know there's been hundreds of people who have been involved, I want you to understand what we're doing. So let me talk to you about this real quick. All right, so we have what's called the Berry Pack. And the Berry Pack is a 4-item set that you can buy. Let me see what they're charging on tonight's show. Okay, so it's a 4-item set that you can get for $69. It was $59, then it went up to $69, then it went up to $79, and now it's back to $69. It's a 4-item set that would normally cost you $238, but you can get it for just $69. So what's in this set? So in this set is, hold on, let me do the quick change of my hat. This, you get the Trump sequel hat, which is pretty cool. You get this hat right there that I have on right now. What am I doing here? And then you get the Trump knife. This is part of the set. So you got the hat, you get the knife. Don't cut yourself. There we go. There's the knife, the Trump knife. Good size, balanced. I'm not going to play the video because I just got to get ready to jump. And this is a really, really sharp knife, so be careful. People who have bought it said it's very sharp, it's a good knife. And also, you get the Trump watch, which I don't have mine yet. And you get the Trump blanket. Let me show you this real quick. And, United States. Where's the part that says President Trump so you can see it? Oh, I gotta switch it around. There we go. Donald Trump, President. It's a nice big blanket. So, just to recap, you get the blankie, you get the hat, you get the knife, you get the Trump watch, you get all that. No shipping fees, no hidden fees, no subscription, none of that. $69 and you get this package. Just go to the QR code sitting right here or go to berrypack.com, one of the two ways, and you'll be able to do that. There's only like 500 packages that they had put together originally, and they're going very quickly. So if you want to enjoy the Berry Pack, I love that they called it the Berry Pack, go ahead to the QR code right there on your screen or go to berrypack.com. All right, so let me tell you what's going to happen now. We're getting ready to jump over to Rumble. I understand. I hope it works for me. Otherwise, this is going to be a quick show. But I need you to go here. Like we're broadcasting simultaneously right now. But in a minute, it's only going to be on Rumble, not on X, not on YouTube. We're just going to jump over. So let me tell you what we have planned. We're going to talk about what happened in New Jersey today. And if you guys have joined me on Rumble, when I do the jump over, it's a lot more entertaining. I play some music you may have forgotten about, music you haven't probably heard in quite some time. And it's very energetic. Now, some of the music, I hate that I even have to say this, some of the music some of you might not like. Might not be your cup of tea. Nothing I can do about that. I'm not shy about my love of music, and the people who have watched, they've loved the music as well. So if you don't want to hear shredding guitars, if you don't want to hear, well, tonight, yeah, there's some shredding guitars, but I also got some surprises for you as well. There's some surprises. And so the show I put together on Rumble tonight, I will say this. It will salute what's going on in New Jersey. Because right now, I feel there's a civil war going on. And I think the civil war, the shots have been fired per se, and you guys need to get ready. And I want to pay homage to the people who got locked up today as well. They deserve to be locked up. I think I've been dropping enough hints here, but here we go. We're somebody said, not my kind of music, but I'm enjoying it. You might like it tonight. It's a little bit different than the last two nights. I said, you know what, Friday, let me try something a little bit different. Maybe some people would like this music. Maybe it'll just strike a different nerve with you, especially given what happened today. So real quick here, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show it on the screen again. There it is. Join the after party at rumblemay.9. So jump over. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to play a break, the golf course break that goes for 90 seconds. And when we wake up, we're going to be on Rumble, hopefully. All right. So I'm going to hit the button. We're going to play the break music. And everybody jump over to Rumble. Let me just make sure this isn't SV giving me a text. Oh, I bet you I know what SV's saying. I only have to look. He's like, Barry, you gotta do the super chat. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's saying. Boom, he's so right. I'm an idiot. I love these guys. They are so good to me. They keep me in place and make sure I'm not screwing up or forgetting people. And, because people, I love what you guys do, and my bad for not realizing. But thank you, SV, for reminding me, because I get scatterbrained. Okay, here we go. Where are we going with this? All right. Good call, too, SV, because I would have completely forgot. All right. Just another knucklehead. Great day to be an American. Action is happening. Yes, indeed it is. CR. It was Lincoln's statue. Both President Lincoln and President Jackson suspended the writ of habeas corpus. Oh, see, I couldn't see. I was trying to stare at the screen. I'm like, what is that? So I'm glad you saw it. Maybe you're looking at a television. So he had the fight statue as a call to arms. He had the Lincoln statue. And before there was the President Jackson's. You don't think those are communications? Comms? You don't think he's trying to telegraph something's coming? Yeah, yes, for sure. And that's Velka. Fight statue is a call to arms. Legs a lot. Thank you for answering my question about Andrew Jackson. You're welcome. Peter Ortez. Pam is the alpha. Tish, Fanny, Judges, Mayor, and Peds are all running. Yep, they better be. Legislot. Coach Barry, I have not missed a show since March. Thank you, and applaud you. Thank you. We did not have this in 2020. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much. Buddy Sanders. The Trail of Tears was about the first gold rush in Lumpkin County, Georgia. Interesting. I did not know that. Chris Grimm. Is he a real Rev? Hell no. He's not a real Rev. And Susan Evangelho. We are in favor of President Trump deporting them all. That's what I thought you guys were. I thought everybody was going to be. I bet you it's a 90-10 issue, and that's one of the things that the media does not like. All right, everybody. I'm going to play the break song right now in 90 seconds, and then when we come back up, we'll be over on Rumble. Ready, set, break.